Kyle here from All Media Reviews. Here to start the series on albums of the year. Though I'll admit that this is kind of just like a rough draft, kind of a tester kind of thing, because this is for 1960. I'm starting with 1965. I'm gonna try to go all the way up till the year 2022, maybe, or at least well into the 2010. Yeah, 2022. Really, I'll just go all. But, it's going to be many videos, and some videos may be more than one. But I'm going to do 1965, but it's really in limitations sparse, because the truth is I don't know that much music from this period. I know a little bit. So, and I should have, probably over here, a collage of some kind that'll have all the records I'm listing today. But the truth is I'm only sort of so-so about knowledge and interest in most of these. It's just pretty sad, but... Again, that's why this is sort of like this is just getting my feet wet, getting going on this whole series. So I have 11 albums on here, whatever, mostly because of certain singles and stuff like that. Number 11, Vince Guaraldi's Charlie Brown Christmas. Yeah, people know it from the special and stuff like that. Number 10, the first of two albums from Nina Simone, Put a Spell on You. I know the title track, but I don't even know if it's her version that's the well-known version. But anyway, relatively known jazz record from '65. Number 9, some will say this is sacrilege because I like jazz, and it was a very important album in jazz. I'll put John Coltrane's A Love Supreme, which to this day I still don't fully get, but I recognize the influence, and I like Dean McGraw's interpretation of it. But that's why it probably would be much higher if it was more of a... I revered it the way so many people do. Number 8, The Moody Blues, The Magnificent Moodies. It was their debut album. There's not a Go Now, I think, is the one track I'm sort of, I think of it for, but again, they were just a psych band, just like it's like a pop band, really, not even psych. But that was their debut album. So number 7, and I'm not a biggest Moody Blues fan, but I like a number of their radio hits, of course, and recognize their importance in the history of classic rock, progressive rock, psychedelic rock. Anyway, number 7. I don't have it. I was thinking I might have it, but I don't. Bob Dylan's Highway 61 Revisited. I don't think I have it. I found some other records from my parents, but anyway, which has, I believe, Like a Rolling Stone. Yeah, which it's a good tune. It's been played to death, but, although not so much recently. When I was growing up, more so, it was on classic rock. KQ played it a lot, so... So number 6, The Beach Boys Today. Not my favorite Beach Boys album. Not as many of their big hits. When I grew up to be a man, sort of my token. I can't remember if there might have been one or two other sort of the thing is they have let's see here. They have a couple others on here, and it's the thing about this year. Yeah, a lot of the stuff that was coming out were still singles at that point. Beach Boys Today. I'm just kind of to add a slight amount of content onto this to support this kind of vague, sparse first list in this album of the year series, which I promise is going to be a big deal, be something that I'm totally into. But of course, this first year just doesn't have nearly as much. Let's see, yeah. They had an album called Beach Boys Party that same year, but and Summer Days. So then they had, but which had California Girls on it, but what is it? I forget what other tracks. Well, there it is. Help Me Rhonda. That was maybe the most well-known song on this. I've probably heard some of these other tracks on here. Anyway, Beach Boys Today, number 6. Now, number 5, mostly on the strength of one tune and just their sound in general, the Yardbirds album, Having a Rave Up with the Yardbirds, which has Heart Full of Soul. It's a great classic, 60s rock tune, early blues rock tune, or whatever you want to call it. But, yeah, the Yardbirds were a cool band. Of course, they featured, I think at this point it was still, I believe Clapton was still with the band at this point. I don't know if Jeff Beck had joined them, but pretty sure. So anyway, number 4, Pastel Blues from Nina Simone. It has Sinnerman. I mean, it's got a few other tracks, but Sinnerman is my go-to, one of my top 3 to 4 Nina Simone. I'm not the biggest Nina Simone fan, but I do like a lot of her music. recognized her talent. So yeah, that's definitely a favorite. So number 3, The Who's My Generation, which they weren't as experimental, of course at that point, but it has the title track. I want to say Can't Explain may have been on that album as well. Again, I feel weird making a ranking list of albums that I'm not that knowledgeable, and again, that's going forward. Hopefully that won't be the case. I'm looking. Let's see here, because it was on. Yes, there's My Generation. Can't Explain. Hell yeah, the Kid's Alright. Can't Explain was not on this record. Oh yeah, it was. So anyway, anyhow, anywhere. So yeah, this album has a bunch of hits. So that's why it ends up number 3. And also, I'm a reasonably big fan of The Who. Not huge, but anyway. So number 2 and number 1, I actually can show physical copies, and I've got a couple of things I'll show just to show it. So I don't have number 2, the Beatles' Help. Unfortunately, I thought I did, but I don't at this point. I need a remedy to that situation, of course. Which has, of course, the title track. All this stuff is all the compilations. That's part of the problem with looking stuff up, and you think about California Dreamin' was on a compilation by the Mamas and the Papas. But Help has The Night Before, Ticket to Ride. Let's see here. Yesterday, of course, and Dizzy Miss Lizzy. The night You've Got to Hide Your Love Away. I mean, it's got a lot of songs. So number 1 is also Rubber Soul, of course, the Beatles. Here's my copy on vinyl, my parents' old copy, which I still haven't looked up on Discogs, and then my CD remastered copy, which has Norwegian Wood, Drive My Car, Nowhere Man I Love, psychedelic rock, one of the best psychedelic rock songs. If I Needed Someone, George Harrison piece, In My Life, great ballad. Girl, Michelle. This is where Beatles, to me, started experimenting. I mean, you could say a little bit on Help, but it was more on here. They were not being just a pop band, and they're writing all their own songs, and they were just doing different things. It's sort of the birth of sort of outside of standard pop rock convention, and into progressive and psychedelic rock and all this other kinds of styles. So yeah, I mean, Rubber Soul is not my favorite Beatles album, but for 1965, it is my favorite album. I mean, you could say, well, partly to do with the fact that I don't have that much taste. I mean, if I was a huge jazz fan and loved Love Supreme would easily probably take number 1 spot. But there's these other 2 records. There's Beatles 65, which is a compilation, which has I'm a Loser, and I Feel Fine, which is another great track. Rock and Roll Music, which was a cover, of course, Chuck Berry, I believe. Babies in Black. And then Yesterday and Today, I think also came out in 65. I could be wrong, but which has Yesterday, Dr. Robert, Nowhere Man. So, I mean, it's like Beatles, and it's like compilation. I said the Mamas and Papas, Beach Boys. All these bands were just putting out singles and compilations, and it wasn't about the studio album. It really was not till... Rubber Soul was sort of the first of it, but then the next year and the year after, so that's my albums of the year for 1965 right here, hopefully. What's your top 5, top 10 albums of 65? I'd love to see that list. Hopefully we can do this. I don't know the frequency of these videos. It will be a couple times a week, maybe 1 a week, maybe 4 or 5. I'm off partially tomorrow and on Thursday, so I might be able to make several more of these if I can manage to corral all the physical copies and get all the stuff together. I do have tomorrow uploading the Tear Maker for Muse with Death by Unicorn with Brennan. Thank you if you've checked out the Coheed and Cambria one on his channel, Death by Unicorn, if you've not checked it out. But again, thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and we'll see you next time.